Okay, let us bow our heads. Holy and righteous Father, I thank you for your love, mercy, and grace, and for all those seated here tonight who give of their time and talents to orchestrate the affairs of this city. We are in a new year. The old has passed away. As we look forward to the future and issues that will need to be discussed and voted on, and issues of justice, truth, and righteousness, issues that at times seem impossible, let us remember your words from Matthew 19:26. With men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. When we lack wisdom, let us ask of you, who gives generously to all, without finding fault, and it will be given to us. Let every discussion be based on the plumb line of your word, and let every decision be righteous, true, and just. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Linda. Now we'll officially call this committee, the whole meeting, to order. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Council attending in person, Mayor Miller,
Here.
Alderperson Ross,
Here.
Parker,
Here.
Alderpersons attending remotely, Borneman, we'll move on to McClanathan,
Present.
Busker,
Present.
Brashaw,
I'm here.
Mysick,
Present.
Berbere,
Here.
and one more time for Borneman.
I'm present now.
Thank you. We'll move to staff present in person, Manager Bucas,
Present.
Directors Richter, Hines. I'm so sorry. I have her marked as in person. We will wait for her. Summers,
Here.
Stromberg, and Anderson. Staff attending remotely. Now, Ms. Hines.
Present.
Boyer,
Present.
Liggett,
Present.
Jansen is absent. I see my mistake. It's Director Huffines that's here in person. And then also present in person is Legal Counsel Zito. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. So if you could please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Alderman Ross.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Alderman Ross, the meeting is yours.
Next is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion made by Alderman Parker and second by Alderman Berbere.
Correct.
All those in favor? Yeah.
Alderpersons Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
Berbere,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
and McClanathan.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Next, the approval of the minutes from the council meeting of
December 14th, 2020.
yes. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion has been made by Alderman Busker and second by Alderman Parker.
Would you like a roll call on that,
Yes.
Alderman? How about we start with you? Ross,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Busker,
Aye.
Brashaw,
Aye.
Mysick,
Aye.
Berbere,
Aye.
Borneman,
Aye.
and McClanathan.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Are there any public comments agenda items, limited to 3 minutes per person.
I didn't receive any in advance either.
No. No minutes are listed. We'll move on to item number 7. Social Justice Committee recap of matrix viewed by Manager Bucus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Social Justice Committee's final report included suggested metrics that the city could try to follow, to watch, to see how we strive to be more understanding of our female and minority needs in our community. And so there were 8 areas that they felt, that they outlined in the report, they thought that we might want to try to measure ourselves against. And so I'd like to go over a few of those right now. The first one was increased minority and female employment rate by 5% in the police and fire department. This was to be accomplished by October of 2021. Currently, when we started the process, when the committee was formed back in June, we had 16 female employees in the police department. At the end of December, we had 19. Minority employment in the police department was 6 when we started, and it was 6 at the end of the year. Our baseline that we're looking at for 2021 would be 19 female employees and 6 minority employees, so we'd be looking at 5% on top of those. Currently, the female employees in the police department make up about 30% of the employment, and the minority employees make up about 9.5%. In the fire department, we have 2 female employees and 1 minority employee currently. They make up 4% and 2% of the fire department employees. We do have 3 openings in the fire department that we'll be looking to fill this year. And I forgot to mention that we have 4 in the police department that we're looking to fill in 2021 as well. And even though they did not suggest this, I did include in the matrix that I gave to council members that all the other departments. And basically, we have 25 female employees and 5 minority employees in all the other departments. So that makes up about 33% female and 6.7% minority. Overall, we have 180 employees in the city, 25% are female and 6.7% are minority. We also looked at, and it's going to be discussed later on tonight, hiring a social service professional. Our goal was to have somebody hired by July 1st of 2021, and currently we're on progress to discuss it tonight, and with council's approval, to advertise it and move forward. So we should be able to meet that deadline. The Social Justice Committee also talked about our program we call Staff on the Street, where different department heads go out in the community and meet with the residents. This past year we had 2 such occasions. The first time was in July. We had 50 people attend, and the second was in September. We had 25 attend. The minimum of 20 citizens in attendance at these events to promote citizen engagement was recommended by the committee. So moving forward, as hopefully the COVID restrictions start to be lifted, we could go back and have our citizen engagement meetings. In community development, they wanted to see an increase in inspections by 5%. We ended 2020 with 5,603 inspections. These are not all news. These include re-inspections as well. And so our goal would be to add 5% onto that 5,600 or another 250 inspections. They also wanted to see us demolition at least 10 blighted homes in blighted neighborhoods, and so that would be a goal for 2021 as well. When it came to boards and commissions, they wanted to see an increase in minority and female membership. This is an ongoing process. Currently, we have 41% of our board and committee members are made up of females, and 18% are made up of minorities. Our city population back in 2010 was 53% female and 25% minorities. They also recommended a marketing or public relations person. We're going to be discussing this in the future, and we have a goal of hiring somebody by July 1st of 2021. And then under accountability, they wanted us to review these metrics quarterly. So this is our first start, and this is basically our baseline that we're using to measure how well we're doing with our matrix. And I'm open to any questions that council members may have.
Okay. At this time, any questions for Manager Bucus from the council?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Alderman Borneman. Alderman
Sorry,
Borneman,
this is
go ahead.
Alderman Misick. I had a question about the marketing director position. I did see a job description for that. Do we have any responses that have been reviewed yet?
We have not begun advertising for that position. That job description you saw was probably when we tried doing something last year, but we never did go out and fill that position.
Follow up, Mr.
Go ahead.
Chair?
Go ahead, Alderman Misick.
Manager Bucus, do you recall what portion of this of the marketing director is included in the 2021 budget?
We're looking at fully funding it in 2021. Part of the funds are going to come out of the general fund, and part are going to come out of our hotel motel tax fund.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions for? Oh, right ahead, Mayor.
Yeah, I just wanted to put out there that I currently have three openings on boards and commissions. So if anyone has any names they'd like to bring forward, please let me know so I have people that I can contact. I have the Historic Preservation Committee, Library, and Board of Appeals.
Anyone else have any questions from the council?
Chair?
Alderman McNallentan.
Thank you. Just a comment. One, I appreciate you putting the metrics together and bringing them to us for quarterly review as we had agreed upon. And this is obviously just the baseline here at this point for the comparison for metrics down the road. I would appreciate as we go down the road, obviously it's not applicable for tonight, but going down the road, if there is some additional information outside of just the bare statistics in regards to, what are some of the headwinds that we may encounter, or what are we seeing for positive responses in regards to that, just to give us a little additional feedback as to what do we see working here, what's not working, what attempts have we made in some of these certain avenues. Also, how can the community help on some of these metrics? I mean, some of them obviously are just purely internal that don't have as much of a community aspect, but some of them, it would always be healthy to put it out to the public too, as to, here's how you guys can contribute to these metrics as well. Thank you.
If there aren't any other questions, we can move on to item 8.
Would you like me to read that?
Yes.
Alderman? Discussion regarding adding the position of social services professional to the police department.
This will be presented by Chief Summers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we've talked about in the past, the police department is asking to add the position of a social services professional to the police department. Historically, law enforcement has seen a significant rise in people needing mental health assistance, and locally, we don't really have those outlets to care for those individuals, especially the training that the police department has. So we're looking to add a social services professional to the police department staff. This would align with our strategic plan with a responsive and efficient government. It would provide services that we don't currently have available while opening up our officers to spend more time on enforcement issues rather than some of the community caretaking needs that this position could take over. We're looking, the best case scenario is to find a licensed worker, whether it's a clinical social worker or a licensed counselor or a counseling professional. However, if that can't be, if we can't find that person, we're working with FHN to have them provide some supervision. We're working on a memorandum of understanding to provide some supervision while the person that we do find works towards their licensing requirements that are required by the state, so they can operate on their own and be a freestanding professional with the police department. I provided a job description, if you've had time to review that. Just the type of person that we're going to be looking for in the future. So the staff is just asking for permission to move forward with creating this position within the city and moving that forward.
At this time, would anyone from the council have questions for Chief Summers?
Chair, this is Alderman Borneman. I had a question.
Go ahead, Alderman Borneman.
Thank you, Chief Summers. I was able to look over the job description, and it's probably in there, but I wanted to get your thoughts on this. Is the social service worker going to be somebody who focuses primarily on serving people who interact with the police department, whether suspects or victims, or will they also work with officers and staff like in the department to provide them services? Is it going to be a little bit of both?
My goal would be to be a little bit of both. I think to start, it would focus more outside of the police department on what the community needs are, while they have an opportunity to build trust within the police department. I think that's a key issue with officers and staff coming forward to seek things, seek some help or guidance out from a person internally. So there's going to be a great deal of trust that'll have to be built with that. So initially, the focus will be outside of the department on the community, but hopefully that it meshes together to be both.
Okay. Alderman Ross, I had one more question.
Go ahead, Alderman Borneman.
So, Chief, is this somebody who would be able to provide trainings to officers on mental health, mental health trainings to officers?
Yes, and that would be one of the key factors, that they can provide training, but they could also provide guidance on specific people that the officers make referral to, how to better handle these situations in the future when these come up, and maybe create a situation where we're not having to return calls to that individual.
Great. And then I actually have one more kind of unrelated, but on this topic. And my question there is, it looks like you have the budget line for it, the line item. Have we taken into consideration the impact of that House Bill 136? If that were to pass, I know more trainings will be required, and I'm just wondering how the potential impact of that bill, which hasn't even passed yet, but the kind of unfunded mandate for trainings in that bill, would we be in a position where if we hire this person, we're going to not have the resources to fund the trainings that are mandated in that bill? And I don't know. I'm sure Director Crow, he's been gone for a while now. Manager Bucas may have a thought on that. If not, it's something we can touch base on at another time.
Well, one of the issues that we always have is whether, if this person could provide the training, all the training that would have to be from the Illinois Training and Standards Board, which they would have to approve that. So typically they provide the state training that's already been approved through them. They usually, in circumstances that have been traditionally done, they provide, if it can't be in person, training, virtual trainings that don't cost. the departments because they're put on by the state. However, with this new bill, there's not a lot of information that's out there on how they're going to provide and what's going to be required, who's going to be required to give the training, just that training will be there. So until that's vetted out a little more, I can't specifically answer that question on how that's going to affect our budget.
Yeah, that's fair. I understand.
Chair, this is Alderman Bradshaw.
Alderman Bradshaw, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Chief, I realize it will be your job to appoint or hire the position that we're talking about. How will you advertise for this position? And once you do, will you ask FHN to assist you in any headhunting or any searching for this position?
Yes, I've already had a conversation with FHN Family Counseling on where to advertise. They had given some suggestions of Indeed and several colleges to put on job boards at that location. But specifically, yes, I envision this as being a sort of a small panel that will review that. And of course, they are going to know more about what we're looking for, specifically in terms of background and things like that. I can provide the ideas of what the vision of is for our department, but how we reach that, I would rely heavily on the professionals that are already in that arena.
Thank you. Chair, may I follow up with one more question?
Yes, Alderman Bradshaw.
Thank you. Chief, have you and/or Manager Bucas talked about perhaps hiring more than one person, say 2 part-time, say a job share kind of position, or are you set on just hiring one person full-time for this position?
We have not had that conversation. I am kind of set on hiring one person at this time that we can, there's going to be a significant building of the program, and it's going to be a lot of hands-on, and I think we need to find the right person who has a shared vision with the police department and the city to get that off the ground before we start expanding that out further as to having part-time. I'd hate to have too many cooks in the kitchen at one time while we're building this program.
Thank you for that answer.
Chairman Ross, Alderman Flanagan.
Yes, Alderman Flanagan, go ahead.
Thank you. First, a couple things. One, I appreciate the description that you provided, Chief. As it really gave us a nice overview of what you're looking to do. And two, I also want to compliment the department because there have been a few areas, I'm thinking primarily body cameras, where you guys readily adopted it years ago and kind of got ahead in that way. And also some of that, I think some of the times when we look at some of your internal policies and things of that nature, it's also been there. And I think this might be another area where you're looking to take some chances and establish something that may be beneficial to the department, even if it's not widely used overall. The question I have for you is, I realize that it's a new position. I realize what you have in the job description. I realize what you said in your comments already tonight. I also, particularly where you talked about alleviating some of the community caretaking maybe functions. Ideally, how would you see this position kind of playing out in practice and function? What are the types of duties you think that it would take in connection with your officers and also maybe in addition to your officers?
Ideally, the person that we're looking for would be well-rounded, that our officers can make referrals to, whether it be substance abuse problems, whether it be domestic violence issues in the home, where we identify things that we can work with other social services individuals also to follow up. For example, if there's a domestic violence issue in a home where the children are subject to the same violence that are there, that we can refer that to our social worker, who can have a good communication with those students, that can collaborate with social workers from the school to make sure that they're getting the proper services. Just the reoccurring referrals for the reoccurring subjects that we encounter on an everyday manner, where the officers come in contact, that they take a great deal of time up with those officers to develop the strategies to deal with those individuals, maybe less. You know, working with our officers internally, mental health of police officers is I think we've all seen. It's been in the news recently again, where one of the Capitol officers took his own life after the incidents that happened out there. That police suicide has skyrocketed in the recent years, and that's a very serious concern that I have for our department also in PTSD. And can this person identify those things and help our officers internally? Again, that takes time for the officers to grow and trust that person, but to have that resource inside the police department would be a great benefit for our officers that are there. So there's numerous things inside and outside that I ideally would like to see the program grow into.
Okay, at this time, anyone else have any questions for Chief Summers? If not, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 9.
I think maybe we might need to have a motion to move it forward.
Okay.
Chief, do you need that?
Yes.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
What?
Who was that first and second?
Busker first, McClanahan second.
Okay.
So are we just approving and moving forward the job description right now?
Creating a position.
Creating the position.
Creating the position, thank you. Ross?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Busker?
Aye.
Brashaw?
Aye.
Mysick?
Aye.
Berberay?
Aye.
Borneman?
Aye.
And McClanathan.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Well, now we can move on to item number 9, discussion regarding airport hangars fees, presented by Manager Bucas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The city owns and maintains a number of hangars at our airport, at Alberta's airport. And it's been at least 8 years since the last time we did any type of rental fee review on those hangars. Because of the size and amenities associated with the different hangars we have, our current rates range from $67 per month to $525 per month. Most are in the $150 range. Dixon Airport hangars range from $72 to about $132 per month. Monroe, Wisconsin rates range from $150 to $170 per month, and their hangars are comparable to our hangars that currently go from $150 to $174 per month. Sterling rates are $148 per month, and their hangars are comparable to our current $150 hangars. The airport manager has talked to the airport pilots and aircraft owners association at the airport, and they did not seem to have any problems with the proposed moderate increase in the hangar fees. As I said, it's been a minimum of 8 years. By increasing these fees by 10% that's being proposed, it could generate an additional $10,000 for the many improvements that we're making and need to make at the airport. And the staff's recommendation that the City Council move forward on the proposed hangar fees and increase them by the 10% or by the chart that was submitted to Council.
Are there any questions for Manager Bucas at this time in reference to the airport hangar fees?
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Bradshaw.
thank you. Manager Bucas, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I was having a little problems with my audio there. Did you say that the fees are proposed to go up 10%?
Yes.
Thank you. And also, I don't know if I'm remiss, but I missed the memo that was supposedly sent to us regarding the airport hangar fees. Was that something that anyone else received?
should have been out to all the council members in your packet.
I'm sorry, I missed that. I must have printed up the wrong notice of meeting, those previous. Without that in front of me, is there anything I'm missing regarding the fees? I understood that the prices are different, and I guess my question to you is this. Are those different prices based on square footages, on longevity of the tenant, perhaps on different commercial rates? What am I missing here?
They're based on the square footage of the hangar and the type of hangar that they're using. Some hangars have electricity. One hangar that we currently charge $525, I believe, has heat in that hangar. So we have to pay for the heating that hangar as well. A $67 hangar would be going up to $74, so it's like a $7 increase that we're looking at per month. And like I said, it's been a minimum of 8 years since we've increased these fees. 10% sounds like a lot, but a $150 hanger is only $15.
May I continue?
Yes.
Thank you. Manager Bucas, I wasn't disputing the increase at all. Our hangar rates are actually much lower than almost anywhere in the country, at least in the state of Illinois. I know our hangar rates are substantially less than a lot of places, and we do provide a really good service. Daryl Jansen does a wonderful job managing the airport. So I'm not disputing that at all, sir. I was just wondering if the prices were fair across the board, considering each amenity that was perhaps provided for that specific hangar.
I'm not sure how to answer that question because I'm not quite sure I know what you're asking me.
I will try it another way. Are all the hangars priced accordingly, with the ones with increased amenities worth more? Or are there some, perhaps, fees that are grandfathered in at lower rates?
No, all the same type of hangars have the same fee. Again, it's based on the amenities that are provided, whether it's a bifold door or not a bifold door, square footage, whether it has electricity, or whether it has heat. And I'm looking for the one on heat, and I can't find it on my list here, but I believe that was a $525 hanger.
Jay?
Thank you for...
Yes, J. Hanger J's $525, that has heat.
Thank you for those answers.
Mr. Chair, Alderman Busker here.
Alderman Busker, go ahead.
Yes, Manager Bucas kind of echoes in the chambers there. I heard you correctly. There's no dispute from the Pilots Association on these fees.
That's correct.
Okay, with that said, I'd like to make a motion to move this forward to a regular meeting for consideration. Second.
There's been a motion made by Alderman Busker, second by Alderman Misick. At this time, City Clerk Anderson.
Ross?
Aye.
Parker?
Aye.
Busker?
Aye.
Brashaw?
Aye.
Misick?
Aye.
Berbere?
Aye.
Borneman?
Aye.
And McClanathan?
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Okay, we can go ahead and move down to item 10. Library. With the director. Let's go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everyone. The most exciting part of the evening. As we all know, 2020 was a rough year for everyone. So instead of looking at a comparison of 2019 to 2020, we're just going to look at 2020 on its own. With the understanding of knowing that with the library being closed for 103 days, there's no way that our statistics are going to match the previous years. But we did, with our shortened length of time being open, we served 44,000 visitors. Our study rooms were used by over 700 times, and we did use curbside service over 1,000 times. Our collection has 119,591 items in print. And then we also have 2845 for ebooks and audio titles, which that is what I consider our digital items. All of our items total checked out 80,300 times, and all of our digital checkouts were up a lot. It was up 11,794, and I think that was a total of about 3,000 increase. Our computer use of 35 public computers were used over 10,000 times, and when you combine the amount of time people spent on the computers, they spent 324 days using our computers. Programming is what took the biggest hit, because although we were able to open and circulate and do things for the majority of the year, programming we were not able to do. We had 96 library programs, and we have usually over 400. And our attendees were 1,002, which was a lot smaller. But the thing that we really increased this year was how we were reaching out to people and doing our programming. So we ended up doing a lot of virtual outreach, which is all that we could do without in-person programming. And we had 49 programs, and a lot of those was a combination of Zoom programming, as well as things that we just placed as on our social media pages, where they could watch videos whenever they were available and could do it on their own time. And we reached 17,543 people. That is pretty amazing. So we were at least able to do something. And our savings in dollars is a calculation that I get from the CyberDrive Illinois website. So the state librarian is Jessie White. So some of the stuff that we get and have access to is the same as everything you do for the DMV. So if you're ever interested to just go there on your own, you can just search, how much did I save by using the library this year, and you'll find it just using Google. But our community saved $1.3 million by using our books. They saved $176,000 by using our digital collections, and they saved $150,000 by using our computers. So the other thing that I would like to focus on is usually we just go over the stats, just the general numbers, but we were closed for 103 days. So what did we do during that time is something that I think everybody needs to remember. We were not just sitting there. Everybody was employed the whole time, and we inventoried over 130,000 items that had not been inventoried in over 8 years. We moved an entire department from a section in the library to a different section. And when I say department, we have adult services, youth services, technical services, and then the administration. So we moved and circulation. So we moved the technical services into the circulation department. And then we also cleaned out all of our storage and stairwells, and our library is approaching 20 years old. We're 17 years old right now, so you can imagine what some of the storage and stairwells look like. We moved the entire audiobook collection, and we added new collections this year. We added our Library of Things, we added hotspots, and we added STEM kits. And then we also did a lot of collection cleanup. So we've been creating lists for our series, where we will have some items where we only have a couple of the books in the series, or we'll have one or two. So we've been documenting that and cleaning that up. We added labels to all of our audiobooks, and just for internal, to make our check-in process go faster. And we moved our entire teen collection from downstairs to upstairs, and then our entire youth collection was recategorized. and completely moved and shifted throughout the entire department. So we did a lot while we were closed. And it was great. So we were able to do the inventory project. Probably would have taken us 5 years to do if we were open. But since we were closed, we were able to do the entire thing in about 2 months. Those are all the statistics that I have for you and some of just the general things that we did while we were closed. So if anybody has any questions for me, now's the time to ask.
Mr. Chair, this is Alderman Misick.
Alderman Misick, go ahead.
Director Huffines, thank you for the presentation. I think it's very clear that you made the very best of the challenges of 2020 and really took that energy to apply to making some improvements there in the library. So thank you for your service to do that, really to you and all of your staff. A question, as you were looking at the programs and some of the lower numbers because of, trying to accommodate virtual and so forth, do you have thoughts to apply to the new year to increase those levels for programming?
Well, the first thing that we're doing is actually at the end of this month, we're going to have our American History Lecture Series. We are not going to cancel that. We're actually going to do that completely virtually. So I actually think that will help our numbers. And then we are going to try to start doing some in-person things with our with registration and being able, we have that really large meeting room on the main floor of the library, so we can do a lot of social distancing. But I mean, we're still months away from being able to do that. But I think the community is really used to the fact that we're doing a lot of virtual things now. So that is helpful to us. And the numbers they increase and they decrease, and they're just kind of unpredictable, but we do our best.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone else have any questions for Director Huffines? Well, then, thank you, Director.
Thank you.
We'll move on to item 11, public comments. Agenda or non-agenda items. 3 minutes per person. Okay, at this time, we don't have any questions, so we can move on to adjournment. Would like to have a motion made.
So moved.
Alderman Busker. Alderman Parker. Motion made. Adjourn.
Ross.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Busker.
Aye.
Brashaw.
Aye.
Misick.
Aye.
Berberay.
Aye.
Borneman.
Aye.
And McClanathan.
Aye.
Motion passes 8-0.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
I really don't. Should have seen the first time. I remember my first time. Man. It wasn't good. I forgot. She had to lay it out for me. And I'm reading off this old sheet. Then I found
for me next month again.
Then I happened to see the sheet, and I'm like, oh, shoot, it's sitting right in front of me.
Asked me not to come so he can do it again next month.
Nah.
No, huh?
But man. Take her easy, Don.